Hey gamers, this is Liz Davidson from Beyond Solitaire, and today I'm going to be reviewing Thunderbolt-Apache Leader from Davidson Games. There's a lot going on in the game of Thunderbolt-Apache Leader, but I'm going to give you the shortest version I can that I think still explains the game. So this is essentially a campaign game where you are playing as a set of pilots who are flying missions, and every game you're going to choose a campaign to do. So the introductory campaign is Iraq 1991, and you're going to pick a special condition card that affects how you play. So in this case, Surge is the introductory recommendation. But these cards are double-sided and there's several other options, which means that you'll have a lot of variability as you choose to play different campaigns with different conditions that affect the entire campaign. These cards will also give you vital information like what terrain tiles to pull, so you pull different terrain each time, how many special options points you have, which we'll talk about in just a moment, how many days the campaign will last, and other aspects of gameplay. So during setup, you're going to use those special options points to purchase aircraft. So there are a bunch of different aircraft in the game, and you actually get to choose the ones you want. There are a bunch of different aircraft from different years of military history, and each has a different cost. So basically, you're going to choose the aircraft you'd like to go into battle with, and how much you want to spend of your points, which are a very limited resource. Once you've chosen your aircraft, you get to choose your pilots, and you'll basically get to pick one pilot for each of your aircraft, and then one extra pilot for each type of aircraft. So if I have 2 Apache helicopters, I'll have 3 Apache pilots that I get to choose. The other thing that's really fun about the pilots is that you can spend some of your special options points to promote them, or over the course of campaign play, they can improve. So normally pilots start at an average skill level, but depending on what you do, you can end up with a pilot who's green, or a pilot who's a veteran, or an ace, and their stats will actually change throughout the game. So they gain experience as you send them on missions, and you can actually end up with these really amazing pilots who've grown with you over the course of a campaign. You have to watch out, however, because pilots also can become injured or get stressed as they go on mission after mission, so you have to really balance who you're sending out and how you are helping them develop, while also not stressing them out so badly that they quit being functional pilots at all. Once you've chosen your pilots and your aircraft, on each day you're going to get to choose which pilots and which aircraft will attack which enemy battalions. In order to get victory points, and also sometimes to avoid some unpleasant conditions in the game, you need to be destroying these battalions. So for example, here I have an artillery unit that would cause me to lose special option points at the end of each day, and I would definitely want it gone. To go up against a battalion, you're basically going to pull the enemies that are listed on the card, and you're going to use the terrain that's listed up on your campaign card. You shuffle terrain, you lay it out, and you use a D10 to figure out where each of the enemies is going to go. That gives you a different layout each time you play, which makes for some pretty exciting gameplay. After that, you get to choose where your pilots are going to enter the field and assign weapons to their planes, which is a really good time. And from there, it's a matter of moving strategically and dropping the right weapons and hoping that the dice are in your favor. So once gameplay begins, you're essentially moving around the board, trying to eliminate as much of the battalion as possible, while also protecting your guys while they're in flight. And there are a lot of interesting decisions that you get to make along the way. So it matters if your pilots are low or high altitude. Partially because if they're in high altitude, you'll get pop-up enemies that see you from afar and arrive in the field of battle. And it also matters because the terrain has ridges, and if your plane is flying at low altitude over a ridge, it'll take damage. So you have to decide when you want your plane to rise up into the air and when you want it to go back down. Ridges also affect line of fire, both for you and the enemies, so there's a lot of strategy involved in moving and positioning your aircraft. After a mission, you will get to search and rescue for any crashed pilots. During your mission, enemies can damage you based on the type of damage they do, so either heavy on a red square, or light on a yellow one. They have different ranges, and you're going to pull chits from a cup basically to see what kind of damage was done to your aircraft every time an enemy fires at you. Once you've flown a complete mission, you get credit for battalions that you've either fully or halfway destroyed. You assign experience to your pilots, you assign their stress, and you decide what you want to do about any damage that's done to their aircraft. The arc of the game is very much about having this really fun, tight, tactical play, but then recording the results of what you've been doing on a log sheet so that you know the status of your aircraft, the status of your pilots, when someone's going to level up, and when someone's a little too stressed out. Some of the campaigns are a bit shorter. For example, Surge is only 3 days, while others are several days longer. So if you enjoy both the tactical experience of flying around on the map and trying to kill enemies, and the campaign experience of keeping track of your pilot's progress, helping them level up, and dealing with damage to your airplanes, then Thunderbolt-Apache Leader might be a match for you. So let's have some final thoughts. I want to start by just saying outright, Thunderbolt-Apache Leader is a phenomenal game. It is one of the most engaging and exciting solo games that I've ever played, and I really think that everybody who is into solo gaming should give something like it a try. I think my favorite thing about Thunderbolt-Apache Leader is the campaign structure, where you have these pilots who grow over time, who get stressed out, who recover from that stress, and you get really invested in them over the course of your game. Even though the pilot card art is fairly generic, you start to really care about the specific pilots that you've chosen and about their fate as you play. Having a campaign mode also gives you the interest of managing your special options points, choosing how to invest in your aircraft and in your people and in different advantages in the game. And generally developing a strategy as you go that's a little bit bigger than just moving aircraft around a field, rolling a die, and hoping that you hit. That said, when you actually fly the missions in the game, it's really fun. The missions are really quick, they're very dramatic, they don't outstay their welcome, and there's a really good tactical puzzle in there where you are modifying your die rolls to give yourself the best chance of success, where you are trying to move intelligently so that you are making the best out of the terrain that you have where the ridges are, but also you're giving yourself your best chance at hitting targets without having to circle all the way back around. And yeah, the luck of the die can get you, but a lot of the game's rewards come from efficiency, choosing the right weapons, being strategic about the upgrades you choose, and working on getting your pilots into a better experience level so that they are more capable when they fly. And the last thing that Thunderbolt-Apache Leader can offer you is a lot of choice and variability. And at first that actually freaked me out a little bit because I didn't know anything about aircraft or different kinds of pilots or who I should choose. But going through the process of playing the game again and again, I now see that as an advantage where I am able to make different choices each time, have a different game each time, play a different campaign, one that has a different overarching condition. There are just so many surprises and variations in the game that it always feels fresh. And that's something that I really appreciate. While Thunderbolt-Apache Leader is clearly a really good match for me, I will say that it may not be a great match for you. This is especially true if you hate campaign games that involve a housekeeping sheet where you're keeping track of points, keeping track of stress, keeping track of experience. If you don't want to write notes in between your missions and you just want to fly the missions, then you might find Thunderbolt-Apache Leader frustrating. So that's something that enriches the game for me. But if you know that that's not for you, this may be one to skip. Also, you may not like Thunderbolt-Apache Leader if you're very luck averse, because no matter how many modifications you have, the fact is that whether you hit a target ultimately comes down to the roll of a D10 die. So if that's something that drives you crazy, it's best to be honest with yourself about that now before you hop in. That said, I love Thunderbolt-Apache Leader. I never thought that I needed a game about close support aircraft, but I apparently really did. I think that the campaign structure is so fun. I love fighting those quick, intense missions, and then either, you get beat up and try to fight another day, or you have a huge success and you feel great. It's just a dramatic and enjoyable game that I really think any solo player would be wise to try. So for that, I'm giving it a 10 out of 10. Dice Tower seal of excellence. This game is awesome. Happy gaming.
Thanks so much for watching another Dice Tower video. If you enjoy our videos, subscribe to the channel for more fun, comprehensive board game coverage. Also, consider joining us at one of our events. Come to Dice Tower Retreat, a small, intimate gathering where gaming is king. Join us for Dice Tower Cruise, the largest board game cruise. Attend Dice Tower West in Las Vegas for gaming fun on the West Coast, or Dice Tower East in Orlando in sunny Florida. Dice Tower Conventions, the friendliest gaming conventions on Earth. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.